Alright, the Year 9 Season 4.2 designer notes are here. There was a lot of operator changes in this, which are very good and interesting. A lot of operators I predicted, which I know people are going to be like, oh, this is your fault that this operator has been nerfed and blah 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 blah, when it was meant to happen. We all saw it coming from a mile away. I'll quickly glaze over this. Genuinely nothing different from the last time we looked at this. So, Doc's still at the top, Ash still at the top, same operators, Vigil. There's nothing really different from looking at this stuff, so we're going to try and jump down. I will say Monty falling off massively after the shield nerf, but he's still a great operator, just not as lethal as he used to be. Ban rate still pretty much looking the same. Of course, Blackbeard though taking the #1 spot on PC, dethroning Dokkaebi, which is massive. Second on console as well, which is crazy. Him being the most recent operator. Kapkan, of course, leading console as well, and I believe it was Fenrir on PC as well. It's glitching out a wee bit. That's weird. But yeah. Let's actually look into the balance in here, because there's a lot. So the first thing, Buck has received a nerf. Now, I didn't think Buck needed a nerf, but I understand, because the more you read this document, there is a buff to Sledge, and a little change to Ram as well, and it is to allow Sledge to be on the same level as Buck and Ram. So let's read this. While hard breach charges are useful for opening a couple of reinforcements, Buck's primary role is soft breaching with a skeleton key. This role is almost always needed, and the hard breach charge gave him too much flexibility, making him a one-man army in many situations. By removing them, we aim to encourage more cooperation among team members. Additionally, equipping Buck with claymores can enhance his utility. Instead of taking on multiple roles, he can focus on his primary job more safely. Buck can secure key entry points and prevent roamers from sneaking up on him or his team. This allows him to maintain control over the map, ensuring that enemies are killed, deterred, or forced to reveal their positions if they attempt to flank. So yeah, no more hard breach charge, now as the claymore. Now, again, I get it. I do think Buck was a bit of a one-man army, but I didn't think he was as overpowered as operators like Dokkaebi, who is a one-man army. But I understand it, and it makes sense the more you read on about Ram and Sledge. So let's continue. Kapkan has received a nerf. He has lost a nitro cell and now has barbed wire. I think this makes a lot of sense. A lot of people are going to hate me for this, but it was bound to happen. And I think a lot of people are going to blame me for this, because I made a video talking about, I don't think Kapkan's OP. I'm just objectively saying he's very highly played, very high win rate, and is one of the most banned. That's all I said in that video, and people took it to heart. But what they say here is, we have decided to replace Kapkan's nitro cell with barbed wire to reduce his killing potential, as his EDDs are already enough explosives and are quite effective. Stumbling over my words here. The barbed wire will enhance Kapkan's ability to deter and disturb attackers' progress through the map, emphasizing area denial over lethality. It can be used to block or control key pathways, forcing attackers to take alternative routes where EDDs may be placed. This strategic placement can funnel attackers into more predictable and dangerous areas. So yeah, I think barbed wire works well in Kapkan's kit. Of course, it is going to be sad to see the nitro cell go, because it works so well, is what I was trying to say there, in Kapkan's kit. But yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think this is going to make him a bad operator. The EDDs and his weapon are still very desirable. Same with Buck as well. Buck is still going to be an S tier operator. These aren't major nerfs, but they make sense, and that makes sense. And talking about operators I hate, Legion. Legion has received a nerf. Thank God. I still think he's way too strong, but let's read it. We believe that Legion currently exerts too much map control too quickly due to the number of mines he can deploy per round. I agree. The strategic placement of these mines are effectively countering the removal of their cloaking, which means some of the buffs we introduced along the way are no longer necessary. I'm glad it took you 2 years to realize that. I said that from the start. At present, Legion can cover up 5 entry points within the first minute of the action phase. By adjusting the refill timer, this will be reduced by 1. Fewer mines will force Legion players to be more strategic about where and when they place their mines. They will need to prioritize high traffic areas and key objectives, rather than spreading mines more liberally across the map. This adjustment will also make it easier for attackers to navigate the map without the constant threat of stepping on a goo mine, allowing them more freedom to move quickly and aggressively, and making it more challenging for Legion to control the pace of the game. So he has lost a goo mine, he now has 8, down from 9, and the refill timer is now 30 seconds, up from 25. We'll have to see how this goes. I still think Legion is one of the most overtuned defenders in the game. I think he's been way too strong ever since they gave him that big buff where they removed the cloaking and everything. So I'm glad they're actually admitting that he's too strong, and I'm glad to see that he's gotten a nerf. You can disagree with me all you want. This was bound to happen. Legion is an overtuned, strong operator, and I'm glad that they've at least acknowledged it. Oryx has had a little buff, which is really nice. Let me zoom in a little bit. Previously, the recovery times after using his dash were long enough for attackers to react and potentially eliminate him. By reducing them, Oryx can capitalize on the element of surprise more consistently and make more effective use of his mobility without being too vulnerable. This change enhances his ability to disrupt enemy plans and maintain pressure on attackers, making him more viable and competitive operator. New timings will also allow synergy really well with the recently buffed Spaz 12, as it is more comfortable to use and will be very reliable to finish enemies and more consistent against ballistic shields. So what they've done here is that just a standard dash, so like a dash where he doesn't run into a wall or he doesn't hit an enemy, just dashing down a hallway, you now pull your gun up after 0.2 seconds, which used to be 0.5. So you have a faster recovery of pulling out your weapon when you do a standard dash. If you do that and you hit a wall, it's 0.3 seconds, which is still faster than it used to be. And if you hit an enemy, so you knock a Monty on their back or an Ash on their back, it's now 0.1 seconds, which means you'll recover way faster than they will, and you'll be able to take them out, which is a perfectly good buff for Oryx. And I think this one here, especially, like hitting an enemy is 0.1 second. That is perfect. That's what it should be. You should be rewarded for Oryxing someone on their back, because, you know, you had to take the risk of getting up close and personal and putting your gun away. So you should be the one who recovers faster. So great buff for Oryx. Now, Ram, like we were talking about with Buck and Sledge, she's going to have some changes here. So what they've done is they've removed her pocket shotgun. The Boogie Auto Breacher is one of the most destructive gadgets available, capable of destroying a wide range of objects and surfaces while allowing Ram to remain in a safe position or be ready to act on the destruction created. Her ability to clear entire ceiling in a split second and displace defenders below is unparalleled. We believe this should be her main focus, leaving more precise destruction to other soft breachers. Cough cough, Sledge. Therefore, we have decided to remove the Y10S from our loadout. I think removing this from Ram, so she isn't, you know, the ultimate breacher, or soft breacher, shall I say, and removing the hard breach from Buck is what leads into this buff for Sledge, where he is now a 2-speed 2 health instead of being a 1-speed 3 health. So what it says is, the soft breach ecosystem has evolved significantly since we implemented the armor and speed reshuffle at the end of year 7. With the introduction of Ram and the frag grenade changes at the end of year 8, it is now time to reassess the entire ecosystem. Given the new situation, we believe that enhancing Sledge's speed will be more advantageous than focusing on his survivability, as Sledge is the only operator who needs to be in a close proximity to the target surface. Increased speed will aid him in rotating quickly when his secondary utility is required elsewhere. Buck offers the most flexibility, capable of playing from bottom to top. Ram boasts the highest destruction potential with minimal risk, and Sledge stands out for his precision and reliability. We believe that the changes made to them will create a more balanced ecosystem where each of them have their own space in the meta. I'm glad that they've acknowledged like each of these roles as well. This is something that I actually said myself and was trying to sort of hammer into people, that Buck is the flexible one, Ram is like the main destructive one, and Sledge never really had his spot. So they're really trying to go into the whole precision and reliability. Will making him a 2-speed change that? I don't think so. I still think Ram and Buck are significantly better, and I still think more changes need to come, but it's a good step in the right direction. Weapon balancing, slug shotguns. There is changes to mainly the BOSG, but some other weapons like the 4.4 Vendetta for Deimos, which isn't even a shotgun. But let's see what they have to say here. Back in Year 9 Season 1, when we normalized the damage drop-off of every weapon to match its weapon class, the BOSG was one of the exceptions cleared. As a result, its damage drop-off changed from starting at 10 meters to 25 and ending in 18 to 35. With some time now in the live servers, we believe the slug shotgun class is not performing as intended. Our initial goal was to create something between a shotgun and a DMR, but the data shows that they are closer to the latter, with the BOSG being the most prominent. Therefore, we decided to adjust their drop-off again to align more closely with regular shotguns. This adjustment will maintain their lethality at short mid-range while reducing their effectiveness in long range. However, the magnified scopes will remain to facilitate landing more precise shots. I'm actually quite glad that they've looked for other alternatives rather than just removing the acog from them, because you know, even as much as I'm not a fan of acog on defense, I think out of all the weapons, these ones are the ones that benefit from it the most and probably need it more to make them actually viable. But let's see what they said. So drop-off starts at 15 meters instead of 25. Damage drop-off ends at 25 instead of 35. So basically where the drop-off would start is where it now ends, if that makes sense, than it would before. Damage at max range is now 60% instead of 70. and destruction range is reduced. And this affects the ACS12, the BOSG, the TCSG, and the Vendetta for deimos, which I wouldn't really expect to be gripped in this, but let's see what it says. Operators affected: Albai, Zami, Dokubi, Goyo, Kaid, Maestro, Vigil, and of course deimos, which the asterisk between them, and it says only apply the destruction change because it uses the same caliber, but damage is unchanged. So it has destruction changes like the rest of them, but not the other changes. A bit confusing. The G36C now has less recoil on both PC and console. Here's what they say. During Year 8 Season 4, the G36C, I'm saying the complete wrong weapon, became one of the attacker weapons with the highest KD ratio. At that time, we increased its recoil, which significantly impacted its popularity. Currently, Ayana chooses it approximately 40% of the rounds, while Ashe uses it in only 2% of the rounds. That is crazy. We are proposing a new recoil adjustment to make the weapon more appealing, while maintaining its killing performance. The new recoil setting will be a middle ground between the states before Year 8 Season 4.2 and its pre-patch config. So yeah, less recoil across the board for Ayana and Ashe's G36C. The TCSG also now does more damage. It does 75 HP, up from 63. That is insane. This weapon has been performing well since the last changes. However, the new tweak, the slug shotgun, may cause it to underperform. To compensate for this, we are increasing its base damage to ensure it remains as effective as before. And that's for Kaid and Goyo. And yeah, that's the Year 8... Sorry, not Year 8. What season are we in, guys? Year 9 Season 4.2. That's it. Patch notes. And I think this is a very good patch. Buck and Ram getting a little nerf to make them more in line with Sledge and giving Sledge a buff. Total sense. Reevaluating the soft breacher ecosystem. So much sense. Kapkan and Legion getting a nerf. Again, makes so much sense. Oryx will always need a buff and probably will still need more buffs after this. And the weapons, you know, sort of nerfing the BOSG and everything. Yeah, all of this makes sense. This is one of the most understanding patch notes, if that makes sense, where I think anyone can look at it and go, yeah, okay, I see that reason. Yeah, okay, I see that reason. What they're going to do with Blackbeard, though, I don't even think Blackbeard's overpowered. I don't even think Blackbeard needs a nerf, but second most banned on console, first most banned on PC in his first season. So, and to be more specific, in his first, you know, point, whatever you want to call that as well, like, this hasn't even been, like, a whole season. Like, we're in Year 9 Season 4.2, and he's already taking the #1 spot for bans. That is crazy. So, yeah, I don't know. Are they going to do something with Blackbeard? We'll have to see. But, in my opinion, very good patch notes. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about your thoughts on these patch notes. Do you agree, disagree with a lot of the changes? I definitely think it's a good one. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. Sub if you're new. Catch you later. I love you all. Stay safe. Peace.